to the live show, and people are starting to come in already, which is great news. So welcome to, I believe this is episode 8 of season 2 of the live show. And our special guest today, returning guest, I believe you're the second returning guest of the show, and you were the first of season 1.
I was.
Is Random Trashy.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming back.
No problem.
And of course, co-host as always, Carlo. Welcome to the show.
Hey everyone.
Let's hope your internet holds out today.
Well, to be honest, no, I've switched over to 4G. I've got a new contract, so yeah, it's definitely going to hold out unless my phone explodes in my hands, and then we'll know what happens.
Let's see who we got in the chat while I turn my phone off because it's going mad already. There we go.
It's the Dark Water, yay!
John's in the house. Hey John. Carlo, you'll like this one. Lee says.
Hey Lee.
Lee says, Carlo, you handsome bastard. Phil Smith is there. Hi Phil from Weekend Warriors. Or for Weekend Warriors. We'll be talking about that very shortly. By my swag. Ben, welcome to the show. Jeff, Tom, Stefan, welcome to the show, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and everyone else as you come through. If this is the first time you've watched the show, please feel free to ask questions throughout, and we will bring them up on the chat throughout the entire show. So, Tim, how are things?
Good.
Yeah?
Very busy, good.
So, yeah, it's been about 7 months since you were last on the show.
I know, so much has changed. It feels like that was such a long, easy time ago. It's just crazy. It's great to see how far the podcast have come and the people that you've had on and the variety of people. It's been a real exciting journey for me to watch what you guys are doing, and then looking back on the podcast that we did, where the channel was, and the sort of things I was covering. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot has changed, especially in news. And back then, so we are talking 7 months ago, you were on the road to 10K.
Yeah.
You had just started your beginning to Milsim guide. Or I think you had just released your first week's video, or is we releasing just after that?
First video, yeah. The first video gone up.
Yeah. And you're well on the way. I think you, probably about 7, 8K at that point, or maybe even 6K on your subscribers.
I think I started about 7K, and then in the last 7 months, I also had 3 months off. So, and that's to build the studio, and like obviously me and you spoke a lot during that period, and like to kind of work on new relationships and work on, knowing that once this studio space was finished, where I was going to be going and what I was going to be working on and so on and so forth. Like I was beginning to sort of set the groundwork, hoping that things would kind of move forward at pace. And by the time I got the studio done, I think we actually passed 10K when I was doing the studio, and I didn't even know about it. A friend of mine, Reese, actually messaged me and was like, "Congratulations, mate." And I was like, "What?" Well, what happened? And he was like, "Oh, it's just past 10K." And I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even know about it." So
I was just saying, I do remember your video. It was just like, "Hey guys, I've just realised we've gone past 10K."
Yeah, I don't know about it. Everything that I planned has gone out the window. I'm working like a dog. Yeah, proper crazy, but a real exciting. This year for me has been absolutely insane. Like really, just crazy. So yeah, exciting.
And you have finished your studio now. So a lot more content coming out, and you're happy with it?
Yeah, super happy. I've had people down to visit. You are obviously on the list to come down.
Absolutely.
I was speaking to Kicking Mustang at the weekend, and he's trying to get in a date to come down. And me and Richie literally spent the whole day together today, planning, what's happening, what we're doing, and we are booked now to the end of March, which is insane.
Incredible.
It's absolutely insane, and we're still trying to fit in more content. You know, there's still people on that list that we just do not have a date, or we do not have a reference of when we can actually go and do what we plan to do. So yeah, it's nuts.
Obviously you've been talking about Richie quite a bit, which is something we'll talk about shortly, no doubt. But from when we last spoke on the live show from channel growth, you've pretty much done most of the catalogue you were working for at the time, right?
Yeah, I think that would, I never wanted the channel to stagnate, but at the same time, I didn't want to diversify so much with the content that it become too wide of a field. And also, I didn't really want to fall out of my comfort zone of my knowledge and my experience and stuff. And people were often asking questions about content or for content or about products and stuff that I didn't know about. And it's really hard at times to educate yourself on something that realistically I'm not that into, or I'm not that inclined to kind of absorb or whatever. So, that was always something with the channel back then. When I passed 10K, I thought, right, when I get to that mark, which is quite a significant mark for YouTubers, it's really the first milestone in your YouTube life cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
That really means something. Being 10K allows you access to YouTube staff. It allows you, if you go through the program, access to the YouTube lab in London. It just is that first gate that allow, really things then begin to open. YouTube really begins to then help you out in return for what you're doing for the channel. So, if you're part of the creator community and all that type of thing, which I am, and you've gone through all your exams and all your learnings, key stage learning things and all that, that 10,000 subscribers milestone is really big. So hitting that for me was like, is it going to be a game changer? And significantly has been. Which I'll talk about a little bit later as to what we're doing the end of this week, and what exams I've passed recently that enables us to do some cool stuff. So
sounds really interesting. That does.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Did YouTube send you a little plaque?
That's 100.
No,
shame.
you only get one at 100,000 subscribers.
Oh, well, I had to buy mine off eBay, so yeah.
But yeah, you can, from that 10,000 point, you're classed as like a silver member.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you want me to go into that now, Graham, it's up to you. But there's a whole load of stuff that YouTube then allow you to do if you want to go through the courses and that sort of thing. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to get there, but luckily I've done them, and they're out of the way now.
Excellent.
There we go. And Richie is in the comments, so
yay!
There we go. No doubt, he can pretty much contribute throughout the show from the comments area there. So Richie, welcome to the show.
It'll be like random Trashy says it one way, and then Richie will say, "That's not what happened. This is how it actually went down."
I killed them all. Richie did nothing. He was just standing there. I was killing everyone, working up a sweat, and Richie was just standing at the sidelines. No, I mean, I think obviously Richie's going to come up probably a fair bit through what we're talking about tonight. And people that don't know of him, Richie's been around the milsim side of Airsoft for donkey's years. Not giving his age away, but he's been around for a long time. And he's going to punch me in the face. And I met him on like my second time ever airsofting, and he was always the guy that people would go to and ask questions, and he would take time with people. And I've seen it with him a lot through playing at all different events, from young kids and all the way through other stuff we've done throughout, events all over the place. He's always taken time to, really spend time with people if they ask a question, or his social media. Like, I didn't realise how active he was in responding to people. And he's been speaking to people about this Titan Gate MOSFET, and just responds to every comment, really takes time to explain stuff to people. And I noticed that quite early on. And so it was always on the fringe of my mind as if I could get him involved, he would be a really good asset. And also his knowledge on comms and nav and all that sort of stuff is just way surpass what I can deliver to people. So someone like him, I thought, what a great person to have as part of the channel. But there was always this question of how's that going to work, because it's random trashy, which is, me as an individual, and how we can then bring other people in. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's something I know that Graham was quite keen on talking about. I don't know if to save that or what, but just for you guys to know, Rich's been around forever. He's going to be sort of partnering with me with the channel. We are bringing other people in, but me and Richie are at the moment leading and driving it forward.
Yeah, let's switch to the milsims as to the events you've done this year, and then we'll go to the channel and talk about next year, because I think that's really going to hit hard for people, and it lets people ask any milsim questions. How's this year been for you in regards to milsims? I'm not expecting you to reel every single one off.
Yeah, I don't personally think I want to go for everyone, but there's been like some good, some bads, and some brilliants. And they're kind of, actually no, we could do it like top, middle, bottom. For me, a bit of a disappointment this year was the Legion stuff. And I know Mike will probably see this and he'll probably hate me tomorrow, but for me, I love Mike. I love the attitude that he's brought towards the events. But for me, like, I done right. For a day game, it was super expensive. We got down there, kind of kicked off late. We stood around for a hell of a lot of time, which is always the worst thing when you've got all your kit on and you're all excited and sort of getting that energy going. And, we just stood around a lot. And then we got out, and I remember looking at the watch with Alfie and with Richie, and it was 2:30 when we had our first contact. Bearing in mind, obviously I shot Graham. I apologise about that. he threw something at me and I shot him.
I may have thrown a pine cone at the random Trashy. Rules of engagement means pine cones equals 6mm BBs coming your way.
So yeah, I shot Graham. But yeah, other than that, the first contact was like 2:00, 2:30. And we were out there at 4. So for me, it was just like a bit of kick in the teeth. Went down to Longmore, and again, for a 24-hour weekend, I think it worked out. I've done about 12 hours or 11 hours worth of stack, and yeah, it's okay to do a bit of it. But at the end of the day, I'm paying to go and get out on the ground and get some action. And the guys being in the new buildings of Longmore meant it was soft knocks. So no steaming in and taking groups of people out, doing the tight CQB that Longmore really offers. So for me, it was just a bit of a disappointment. They're a new company, they're getting going. They're learning, they'll get better. It doesn't mean I'm going to write all of their events off, but
no, I think your expectations are different as well. You've done this stuff before. For me, Right Village for me was the first time I've been on an MOD site. Pretty much, first time for a 12-hour milsim or battle sim. I had a completely different experience, but I think that's because it's such a step up from, my local site milsims to there. And I also think the Op4 got a lot more out of it for the roleplay aspect. We were there from 9 in the morning out and about and kind of hiding ammo caches and everything like that. But I think you're right. It does depend on what you're experiencing, what you think you're paying for, and what you're getting for. And the events you've done, you have kind of done the top ones, and so everything weighs up against that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I can't come down too hard on them. They're a new company, and I think
absolutely
good shit. But there's definitely progression there, and Mike is so hungry for it. That will drive him to succeed, But for me, again, if I'm pointing at this, the key things of this year, I think Sterling is always the steady horse. Matt and Ben run a fantastic event. Even on their worst day, their events are still very, very good. And on their best day, they are truly outstanding in regards of the way that players behave, the type of player that goes there is normally of quite a high calibre. And I've spoken about this before, and people get really upset about it. And it's just my sense of turning up there and seeing the sort of people that I interact with, and the type of firefights that I've had. And bearing in mind, I've been doing Sterling now since late 2012.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of their events, and I've got to say, 90% of them, I've had very few bad engagements at all of them events. You know, so for me, you know, they are the steady horse of the ongoing years. If you want a good event, just go to a Sterling one. You know, Carewent or Catterick or any of the sites to go to, you're going to get a decent event. So for me, they are the middle ground. What really stood out for me this year was John Mills's Darkwater event that me and Richie went to. I mean, what a surprise. I know John's in here. I don't want him to take this as like personal praise or non-personal praise. I kind of want to separate John from this because I do like him as a person. But when I look at this from a business aspect, what they delivered, the way they managed the people there, the way they dealt with the adverse terrain, the way that he managed the people, and you know, the way that he set the objectives, the way that he worked with the time that he had and the location and the weather. Man, what a switched on dude. And I didn't know him personally. What a switched on guy. I mean, he can run an event. There is no two ways about it. I don't know. I've never met him before that event. I've never been to his skirmishes. I've never been to any other event. I just landed at that one, shook his hand, said hello, got no, you know, preferential treatment, just got out on the ground and got stuck in. And he was dotting about. I mean, me and Richie did not stop. Honestly, did not stop from 4 in the afternoon till about 4:30 in the morning when I absolutely had to get some sleep. We literally bounced around the whole of that quarry, which is a very difficult site, for 12 hours. Absolutely.
Which I can vouch for.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, watching Tim like walk around with his nods on, I was thinking.
I remember Carlo hugging me at about 4 o'clock. I took my helmet off and just took a little knee, and I thought, that's a really warm hand. And it was Carlo. Just you'll be all right, little Trashy. You'll be fine. So yeah, you know, we bounced about. We worked hard. We had good staff there. Like, you know, Carlo was one of the guys looking after our team, on point, there at all times, making sure people are okay. From a health and safety perspective, that site has got its dangers. Everyone was managed. Everyone was looked after. It really, I hands down say this, it was an absolute shining star of this year's worth of events. From everything that I've done, it was very, very good. And I heard that from not just myself, but from Op 4, that we attacked consistently over and over and over. We hit them, and yet they were still happy. I can't remember the marshal's name. Carlo, who's the marshal with the big beard, like the tash? Boomer?
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
What a great guy as well.
He is.
Really good marshal, kept on point, was looking at all the hits, was looking at the contact, was, you know, just being a voice of reason at times when you're playing in the pitch black and guys are still moving around and they're trying to get out of the way of fire. He was just absolutely on top of it. So I just think John has got that mix there of good staff, good players, and a great site to really do some cool stuff.
That was a cold weekend, wasn't it?
It was a very cold weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
It cold about -1, something like that?
It was creeping down to about -1 around about 11:30 when the clouds just cleared up. This year was such a cloudless night. It was perfect for vision, and the temperature dropped rapidly after that. Bear in mind we'd had spots of rain throughout most of the day as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the evening it was raining, wasn't it? So
yeah, -1 that John's saying at 4:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is, everyone that I've heard from, and you should check out the Flopperator podcast to hear more about the event.
Yeah, the debrief.
For such a cold event, it could have changed dramatically how people felt of it. You know, normally the weather, and if you're ill prepared, it can really put a damper on the event. I've heard nothing but positive things. And I will be going back there in May for Operation Greystone 2. So after your review and after listening to the Flopperator podcast, I think it's about time to get down to John's site, because I still haven't been to any of it.
Yeah, you've been threatening that for about 2 years, Graham, and we still haven't seen you.
Exactly. The thing is, I've got a pine cone waiting for random Trashy, so... I just got to go to right, pick that one up on the way through.
He did write his name on it.
You know what? Again, mate, it was just. I actually went to see John at his skirmish site, not the weekend, this weekend, last weekend. Me and Richie went down there, and I took him to one side and I said, "Can you please put an event on earlier?" And John was sort of attesting this. I said, "Look, please, can you just get another Milsim on beforehand?" And he was like, "No, I want to take my time. I want to get it right. It's going to go. It's going to happen when it happens." Half of me was really disappointed and like wanted to be a spoiled child and throw things on cars.
No, do a Milsim now.
But the other half of me, I mean, what a response! I mean, it just shows how much he cares about his events.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
is taking his time, planning it, and doing it right. And you know, me and Richie spoke about this today. I will absolutely stand on my head and test what an amazing event. You know, Sterling middle ground was a bit, you know, Legion, meh, it's a shame, but Darkwater really come out the gates for me this year and put on something awesome. Grace, I cannot wait for it. Cannot wait for it. It will be another great event. And I've got absolute faith in what John does. I mean, even to go down to his skirmish days, I very rarely play them. And yeah, went down there, had a great day, had an absolute laugh. Great calibre of players, really friendly guys, had some great firefights, some really good engagements, and then wrapped up and come home. Like, really good day. So, yeah. Someone just asked me about. I'm trying to keep an eye on the comments.
It's alright. So you've got
my go to AEG. Yeah, just get a TM. I can't let anyone that asks me now. I'm pretty much going to go and get my wife's name scrubbed out and put Tokyo Rio. Absolutely love them. I used one really hard this weekend, skirmish the weekend before, ran it really hard there. I mean, flat out all day, lots of single fire, lots of you know, quick successive fire, which is quite strenuous on the guns, absolutely flawless. This weekend, I mean, we walked into Bush Valley, it was absolutely frozen solid, the ground. I mean, to the point where it was super hard and slippery. Then during the day when it started warming up a bit, it got all slushy and muddy, and we were going to, you know, I went on my belt buckle, the gun got caked in mud and wet hands and slimy hands from all of the trees and brush and that. It was just flawless. So yeah, sorry, I just got to say my love for them.
And you're running the recoil series at the moment, right?
Yeah, I've got a 416 Dev Brew and the Scar L, and I've got it over the camera, just in my eye line, and just what a gun. I'm an absolute, I don't know, I've fallen head over heels for the Scar platform. I love my 416, but it's just not the girl of my dreams at the moment. The Scar platform's it's just taken a hold of my heart, and I just didn't even. I was talking to Richie about it today. I said, "Do you know what? I didn't even want to pick the 416 up to put it back on the stand." I was just like, the Scars really has gripped me quite hard. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of the TM Recall series. Leave them alone. Don't modify them. Run them until they break. I know lots of Milsim guys that have gone after buying Systemas and having modified guns and VFCs and all this other thing. Have gone and bought, you know, a 290 FPS TM and just run them super hard. So yeah, I'm a big fan of them. So I've just having a look at some of the comments. Great, that's a cool photo. Richie taking centre of the photo as usual. But yeah, that was from Grayslake. That was on the Sunday. We stopped to get a few cool photos.
Yeah, we were worrying that that's what you wanted to do for the first 20 minutes you were there. Ended up being the last 3 hours that you were there.
Yeah, we really wanted to try and you know, just get some media from the event and also to, especially on the Sunday. I mean, me and Richie had a chat sort of early hours, maybe. I mean, I slept from half five until 6:15, so about 45 minutes I think I got in the end. I remember getting up and putting the coffee on, and I remember seeing Carlo and John. And I just said to Richie, like, we need to get some media. Like, this was awesome. Like, let's really say we were here and make a big song and dance about it. And again, mate, I woke up just excited. It was like a kid Christmas morning. Had such a great event. Like I say, good engagements and you know, good environment, and you know, the objectives were great, really well thought out. They weren't overcomplicated. They were just simple, to the point, and allowed us to just go out straight on the ground and get on with it. You know, one of them was being in an OP for about an hour and watching the enemy movements, PID and targets, numbers, seeing what they were doing, see how they were behaving in their fob. And we come back and dropped all the intel on Carlo and the TL, and they could tell that we'd been and done the objectives. I mean, no, it's not simple, but it is something that is difficult to stay in position close on an enemy position for an hour. If they've got roving patrols and they've got people moving around, that's quite a difficult task. So simple things like that on paper seem simple, actually when you're on the ground, can be very, very difficult. We had to move position and go and hide in some woodland and get back into position again. And you know, it's a lot of moving around in the pitch black in a quarry. It was great. It was just a very, very well thought out event. I need to stop going on about it now because I can't wait to the next one. I'm phoning John like, please, just do another event.
And John has put up earlier that if you have missed it, May the 16th and 17th will be Operation Grey Slate 2, and you can get to that from facebook.com/darkwaterdarksight. And I think it's just darkwater.com, I believe it is, if you go through the website.
Darkwater.co.uk.
.co.uk, there we go.
Yeah. It's Darkwater Airsoft.
So let's go to a few questions, and guys, please feel free to ask questions throughout, and then we'll talk about, you know, what's going on for this year. So, Mike's asking, what's one key thing you'd like to see in a good milsim? What would you say is the most important aspect for you? Or if not one, what's the kind of the top 3 things that you think make a good milsim?
I think the backstory always helps.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the nerd in me, but going to an event with a kind of some kind of knowledge of what's happening, or some kind of backstory, or pre-planning, or something, just some kind of intelligence package that goes out to players.
Yeah.
Sterling did that very well. They've had a rolling story now from, I don't know, Jesus' time. There's been ongoing players, there's people that have been killed off and then they've been replaced, and as what happens with a lot of the top Sterling teams, they do opt for a few years, then they bounce over to Sabre, and then they'll, you know, swap back and so on, and so player characters continue and die and come back and all that sort of thing, and they, this kind of ongoing story for such a long period of time that it's very easy to go to the website and just for that event alone, you can read the story and really understand what's happening, and also it will give you a rough idea of the objectives. So, you know, the event that we went to, we were going into enemy territory as a military NATO unit that had taken over a FOB utility, and we were going to be going out of that to see local populace and, you know, see the local civilians, try and do some hearts and minds, and also at the same time as doing this hearts and minds would be to gather intelligence of where the forces are on the base, and all of this was pretty much in the brief, and that we would be looking for weapons caches. Now, if you hadn't read all of that, you'd be going sort of blind. To take 5 minutes and read it, we went there, and then when I remember Matt coming to see me, Richie, and our Matt, Matt come to see us about, I don't know, 3-4 o'clock in the morning and said, guys, we've got a sneaky op here. We've got some intelligence that we've found a weapons cache. The other side, the bad thing is it's on the other side of Caerwen, and we've got no vehicles to get you there. So you need to get on nods and get on your feet, and you've probably got, I think it's about a 40-minute hike to go and find this weapons cache. And like 4 in the morning in Wales, absolutely hammering it down, very, very cold, like terrible weather, even for nods. It was really bad weather, and we just got our gear together, got out on the ground, raided a few buildings and found this huge weapons cache. But, you know, that objective was in the pre-story, you know, like that we were going to be going there to do that. So I think, you know, a simple but well thought out backstory, just to give some people some idea of what's going to be happening when they get on the ground. I think good staff really does make a big difference. I think that works with Darkwater, also works with Sterling. The Sabre team normally rotate, so they normally do like half of the event marshalling, half of it playing. And so because these guys are very experienced meal simmers, they know the Sterling team, they know the backstories, they know the objectives, because they've or they're going to be playing them depending on what half of their rota they're on.
Yeah.
Very astute to kind of what's going to try and balance and keep the game rolling and keep good momentum and all that sort of thing. And a really experienced player, if they can see a chokehold coming up, or they can see some type of stoppage, where two guys are in buildings opposite each other and they can't really advance, they can't really back out, they can kind of negate those situations just by using their experience. So I think if you've got really good staff that are able to do that, I think we've seen Boomer do that a few times when we were playing last weekend, just at a skirmish, like intervene very slightly just to keep things nice and fluid and going. For me, I think that's big part and parcel. The third thing is probably the most controversial, and it is the players. If you want a really good meal sim, you need to be quite, strict about the level of player that you have there. I mean, yes, it's good to invite new players on, but if players are really, really green, just throwing them out into the open is probably not the best idea. And that's where you can get, people getting unhappy, or people, I know people that have gone to a Sterling event, I said, I didn't like it. Like, why? Well, we had to do this, and we had to do this, and it's like, guys, that's part and parcel of what this is all about. You get a stag rota, or you go out and do hearts and minds, and people don't want to talk to you, and you get this negative role play from people, and sometimes if you're not used to that, you can think, oh, why is that guy being such a dick to me? And you're like, well, he's playing the role, you're a soldier, and you're walking through his house, and there's just these kind of nuances that happen around this kind of meal sim scene that people don't quite get. So I just think that is something worth keeping an eye on as a big meal sim company, knowing who's there, how they behave, what their experience is, and kind of tailoring a little bit to how that then works. If it's a really green team, then sticking with some really experienced guys just as a team behind them, see how they interact, watch them, learn from them, and see how that goes. So the players one is controversial, but I do think it can make or break an event.
No, I'd say that's fair assessment. At the end of the day, as an organizer, you need to set expectations as to what's required for the event, and likewise, the players need to come able to do what's required for that event. And if you get a mixed match, it can really cause a disruption to an event.
That sounds like some communist agenda I don't really want to follow.
Stefan's asking, what's your favourite candy bar when the hour's getting late? What's your typical... I presume you do your MREs.
No, I don't like them.
Wow, that's no MREs.
No, you should have seen him at Grey Slate. He had the barbecue going.
Yeah, pot
his
noodle.
own personal chef.
I like to actually cook, have Tupperwared up food, which is what I did for Darkwater, and it's what I did for last weekend, and I actually did it for the event on Saturday. I like to Tupperware up my own food if I can. If it's going to be hot food, I like the big soups. They're like casseroles and stuff like that, and they come in a big can. They literally fill a jet boil. If you've got the jet boil zip, it literally fills one of them. You can boil them up quick. It's lovely to have nice hot food, and they're a bit more flavoursome than MREs, which I'm not a massive fan of. Chocolate wise, I'm not a massive fan of chocolate, but I do like the I'm trying to think what they're called now. They're like the nut and
Snickers.
No, they're not a chocolate bar. They're like
you heard it here first. Trashy likes nuts in his mouth.
Protein bar. They're like flapjack.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I can't think of the company that makes them. It'll come to me. It's like Nature or something like that, but they're like these long.
Nature bars. They're like a cereal bar with nuts in them. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah. I like those. They're sweet enough for me to sort of give me a little bit of a sugar rush, but at the same time, it's not like chocolate or something. I don't really eat chocolate, so. Sorry if that's kind of a really boring answer. I'm quite boring person.
Phil's asking, what do you think about all this talk of invite only for milsims? He's been milsimming since 2004, and some of the events are not up to scratch. More skirmish so far, and the new event organisers are getting harder. So, what's your thought on invite only? And it's controversial. There's no right or wrong answer.
It's really difficult because I've done like a few invite-only events that have been really, really good, and it's been good because they sort of cherry-picked people.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I don't think it's fair that some people should get to enjoy those events and others shouldn't. Do you know what I mean? So it's difficult, like trying to be the devil's advocate and sit on both sides of the fence. I want young kids, young guys, people that are new to milsim to be able to go out and enjoy a 24-hour milsim in the valley. Yeah. I do. Like, I would love for me to have been like 16 years old and got introduced to this then, and been out in environments like the valley or the trees or Carewend, somewhere that's quite testing, and spent more time doing, you know, those types of events. At the same time, I definitely see the safety side of things and the inexperience that you get when you're a little bit younger. Whether that's the patience aspect, and the other thing is the fitness. Not all events do you need to be tip-top fit, for sure, but the valley, we don't go there anymore, but you know, that is a very, very difficult environment, and you can ask anyone that's been there that it's no breeze, that place. I've seen a lot of injuries there. Saying that, I saw some bad injuries up at Apocalypse, you know, skirmish site that's flat, where people just wasn't used to navigating the trees and wilderness in the dark, and tripped over, and I think a guy dislocated his arm or elbow or something.
Nice.
So I don't know. I think invite can work, but at the same time there needs to be a good balance. You know,
there's got to be stepping stones, doesn't there? You wouldn't want it to be skirmish or invite only, because you need that kind of step up and the rite of passage almost to get there.
Yeah, I think we should do like three open events a year, and the guys that do really well at those open events, they come prepared. They've got, you know, a moderate level of equipment. Then they can push on. The guys that are nearly there, you coach them and you get them to that top step of the open ones, and then do the invite onlys. I think a lot of businesses have gone to invite only to save themselves grief. Like I said earlier about the players, you know, you could be the best player in the world, but you might turn up with not the right kit, you know, in regards of if it's absolutely lashing it down and you've got some Gen 3 cries on and a BDU and that's it, that's your kit for the weekend, and you go to Wales or something, which I know of people that have done. You know, I know that Smudge pulled someone to one side, and by no bullshit of what he told me, it was like he was at stage 1 hypothermia. He was sitting in the corner of one of the buildings, soaking wet through, you know, in desert gear essentially. And Smudge was really concerned. So, you know, you can be a good player. It's one, you know, having that decent level of kit. Carlo, myself, and a lot of the other guys were wrapped up warm for dark water, and especially this weekend just gone. You know, the ground was caked in ice. It was cold, and having a good level of kit. I mean, you know, some of us were really toasty and running around like no problem, and other guys were clearly quite suffering because of the cold. So, you know, level of kit, experience, and everything. I think do some open milsims, do closed, but I can't say I hate them, because I've done a few closed milsims myself that have been really good. You know, and they're good because you've got some creator there hand-picking people to come and make the event.
Absolutely.
You know, make the event up. So look, it's a really hard question to ask without sounding like a dick, but they're good. They're good because, you know, the person can, you know, bespoke the event based on the people there, and if you know you've got a good calibre of people there, then you can really tailor that event quite tight. So I'm all for them, but I just don't think that companies should just do them. I think they should allow people to come through the mill.
Yeah.
Hopefully I haven't upset people with that, but that is how I feel.
No, I think that's a fair assessment, to be honest. I really do. As someone who hasn't been to any of those milsims you've done, I still think that you shouldn't not do an invite only because you're afraid of hurting some people's egos or some people's opinion of your event. Or at the end of the day, do some open ones, do some invite only ones, or, you know, if you're invite only, that's fine, but at the end of the day, there should always be open events for people who want to step up or get used to it or try.
It's all experience,
yeah, absolutely.
and that's really what it comes down to. This is how you learn to progress better with utilizing your equipment, as well as kind of knowing what your limits are mentally and physically.
Yeah,
if you're not prepared to put yourself into these types of environments, regardless of if it's open or closed invite situation, every single second of it is an experience that you will live and pass on, not only like through your own future years in playing the game, but you can also pass that knowledge on to others.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And that's essentially where we are now within all areas of Airsoft.
Yeah.
We've got to breed the contempt out of the new blood coming in.
Exactly. That was a good.
Nicely put.
Absolutely. Right. So before we talk about what you're up to now and the bit I'm sure you're really excited to talk about, because I know I am, Carl, I'm just bringing you down for a second, because what I want to do is just do a very brief thank you to everyone who has purchased the Airsoft Nation hoodie that went up on sale on Friday, as well as give you guys a link if you haven't seen it already. So on Friday, we launched the Airsoft Nation hoodie. As you can see, hoodie at the front, on the back, we got warning, mate, spontaneously start talking about Airsoft, which is pretty much my life down to a T. What we have got at the moment on launch date is they're normally $24.99, but until the end of the year, you can get them for $19.99 with the discount code LIVE. So if you're interested in supporting Airsoft Nation by buying one of these, the funds will go towards help support in Airsoft Nation and with all the infrastructure and costs like that. Now, what I want you to do is say a big thank you to the following people who have already purchased the hoodie. So we've got Ben Smith, Vince Hawkins, George Homewood, Jonathan Murrell, Andy Self, Stephen Maynard, Craig Jones, Mark Hoffman. That's somewhat biased, as that's my dad. Clay Robinson, Kenneth Anderson, and Carl Horniak. Thank you very much for buying the hoodies. It's really appreciated, and your support is it's really grateful for buying that and buying it straight away. So thank you very much. Carlo, welcome back to the show, and let's talk about what's going on now with the channel.
Actually, before we do that, Graham, I've got to shoot anyway, so yes. Can I say goodbye to everyone?
Yes, absolutely. Sorry.
Bye, everyone.
Carlo, before you go, please, what's going on with this podcast?
Okay, so, I mentioned like 2 weeks ago before I got ill last week and couldn't do the show, I said that we're going to pig me on. The episode is still like being mixed right now, and I'm just going to release it like tomorrow evening. Right. Promise you. Absolutely promise you. Tomorrow evening.
I will look forward to listening to it then. Thank you very much for coming on, Carlo.
All right.
And,
thanks.
Bye, Carlo.
All the best, guys. Best of luck. Get to chat to you later.
Okay, so the news, it dropped. Obviously, I knew a little bit before. We've been speaking about it for a while now, but it's finally announced. Richie, out of interest, do you have a camera and webcam?
No, Richie could probably run it off of his phone. And we spoke about this because Richie's actually been down with me all day today, but he had to get back because he had some stuff to do this evening. So it's a bit of a nightmare because this would have been really cool for us to kind of have a chat about what's happening and where we're going. I know that a lot of people today have sort of tuned in because they want to see. I'd done a quick Instagram video before this, just saying, look, I want to start talking about what's going to happen. I remember running this idea past you a while back, like when I was building the studio, that I want to take the channel forward. And how do I do that? Do I go out and expand my own knowledge, or do I bring specialists in? And I spent a lot of time really debating as to how I do this. Do I start something completely new? Do I transition the existing channel? Do I lose the platform and create a new one? Like, what is the idea behind it? And I thought to myself, you know what? Like, why am I trying to bend myself to kind of get into this position of educating people on stuff that I don't massively feel comfortable about. Why don't I just get someone in to do it and do a video and drop it on the channel? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, what am I doing here? I'm like building a community of people. And that's really what I wanted to do. So Richie was kind of like this person I'd always looked up to, and spent a hell of a lot of time with me. Now, being that a lot of these guys will know this, but I come from a sniping background. I started Airsoft as a sniper. Everyone told me it was a stupid idea, that I'd need an AG and all this sort of thing. And I went from just doing skirmish days to very quickly rolling, luckily, with the Sabre guys at Sterling for all their events as their team sniper, and it was really surreal. And that's really where I've always been grounded. I didn't get an AG till only a few years ago. So the whole like transitioning thing to get into an AG was just so weird to me, that you could just put so many rounds down on people, and like some of the good AEGs just had so much range.
Yeah.
I thought that they were these kind of things, you know. I just, you know, like for me, they just weren't a decent tool in comparison to a sniper rifle. So, and I'd been so successful sort of thing with my sniper rifle, I didn't see how it works. And Richie actually really helped me get up to speed with the whole having an AEG and manipulating the platform. I mean, realistically, I'd never really shot one. So he really did spend a lot of time with me on working on my loadout and working on the positioning of things, and stuff that I take for granted now in the way that I have set up like this, like so slick, so simple, is purely down to spending time with Richie. You know, it's even transitioning shoulders, something that, you know, a few people really took the piss out of me in our group about, that I openly said, look, I'm finding it really difficult to just swap shoulders and get onto the sights with my left hand. It just feels so unnatural.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, it really did help me. I was on the phone to him, I was FaceTiming him, I was like, is this better? Am I doing this right? And I was looking at all these videos online, he sent me loads of links. Anyway, hands down, I've got it pretty nailed. I'm quite happy with it. I'm getting there. It's not perfect, but it's way better than it was. And Richie really helped with that. So, you know, his expertise in so many different areas of Airsoft, you know, being around it a long time, but his comms and nav is second to none. Like, I've never known anyone so good out on the ground. Even when we went to Darkwater, he'd only been there once before, and he knew the place like the back of his hand, and it was pitch black. You know, we had nods on and stuff, but I mean, trying to orientate yourself with nods on is still quite difficult. So stuff like that is brilliant. I thought, why am I going to struggle to educate people about this when Richie can do it? Realistically, you know, get a camera in front of him, let him roll off drop some knowledge on people, and that was the first part of it. Then we spoke to Guy about helping us with the media, and I was like, hold on a minute. Guy works with some amazing brands. Like, he'd done that really cool shoot for T3 Gear. They're an American company that creates some just insane level mil-spec goodies, you know. And I thought, you know, he works for the MOD, so, you know, what a great guy to be involved. And so I just reached out to him and I said, look, I'm going to change the channel. I'm going to give it a new name. It's going to be about a community of people. I'm literally going after the very best people that I can get. What do you think? And he just come back to me and was like, yeah, what do you want? What do you want me to do? And as soon as it was that simple, I thought, hold on a minute. You know, I put my hands together and thought, right, I'm going to go through my Facebook contacts and just reach out to some people. I reached out to a friend of mine, ex-SAS, really into his health and fitness. We couldn't quite come to an agreement on the content and how it was going to be delivered, and he's got a lot of commitments next year overseas, so we couldn't quite get it to work. But, you know, this is going to be the thing with like building this community of people. Like, Richie's going to bring content to the channel that I can't. So's Guy. We're not going to deviate too much from it. Will always be, you know, airsoft, military, gear related. We're not going to start doing cooking videos or lifestyle vlogs or makeup or whatever.
Cooking with random trashy. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, can you imagine these beautiful locks done?
Milsim, pot noodle.
Yeah. So, you know, we're not going to move far away from where the original stone was thrown, but we're definitely going to put stuff out there about, you know, Richie does a lot of camping. He's got some really good advice on that, and staying out on the ground, bushcraft, survival, all those type of things that are pretty relevant if you're going to go and do a 48-hour milsim, which is what we're looking at. We're doing one in Greece and we might be doing one in Sweden. So, you know, in that case, having really good ground skills is vital.
Yeah,
I could not give you that information. He can. We've got another guy that's going to be coming in and doing PT and fitness. To be completely honest, I don't know his history. I know he's a long-term serving guy and can walk on his hands. He's a good author. That's as much as I know about him. But he's a good friend of mine, and we've done some stuff for him, and he's going to be taking up the fitness thing. He's really into calisthenics. He will be taking us through some of the training as well. So we're going to be doing some very, very basic training stuff. Me and Richie spoke about this in absolute detail today. We see a lot of guys doing very advanced movements in regards to their training. And then when it comes to the basics, things can be a little bit muddy.
Yeah.
I personally think that if we'd spent an hour, maybe, with some of the guys that we were fighting with this weekend that had just gone, the fight would have been completely different.
Like, so it's just about learning good drills, basic drills.
Done really basic stuff.
Yeah.
Even the way they walked with their weapons. Just very, very small things. When it comes to the point of us engaging them, or us surprise attacking them, which we did a few times. Well done, Parky. You know, their weekend probably would have been quite significantly different. You know, we hit the fob and there's guys just sort of weapons non-slung or weapons not attached to them or mags not in weapons or stuff like that, you know, just very, very small things. Like, if you've got a gun on you, keep it loaded, you know, keep it unsafe and keep it, you know, close to you. And, you know, if you're patrolling, you know, move your gun with your body, not just doing this. Because by the time you've done that and realise someone's there, you've then got to bring the whole gun with you. Just very small, basic stuff. You know, the engagements could have been quite different. So we're going to cover some of that. And we are by no means experts. Richie, I would say, is pretty close to one, but I'm by no means an expert. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our friend in and he'll teach us. You know, this is someone who has done a very, very extensive military history. And as the time goes on, we're going to bring other people on, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, talking experts, I believe you're not meant to look down that bit.
I also believe that Richie is not meant to be pointing a 320 at my face.
I got to be honest.
I am definitely looking in the wrong end.
Yeah.
I am trying to squeeze the trigger as well.
I saw that photo and I just couldn't help but have that one ready for today's stream.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, what a day. Guy came down, Richie came down. We really mixed up the shoot. We had a hell of a lot of fun. And the key thing was the bond, right? You know, to get the chemistry going. And shoots like that were just hysterical. But then also we got some really cool shots like this.
Yeah, this is a badass one.
I think super clean, look badass. That scar I've tried to buy from Richie numerous times. I nearly got it at Kerwin. There's a story that I won't go into loads of detail, but Richie was slightly unhappy, and I nearly got it. So that's on my wish list. That gun, it's an absolute monster. But yeah, stuff like this, completely different, really bespoke. For me, one of the best performing photos on any of my social media platforms was that picture. So, you know, it's just different things that we're not going out to try and rewrite what people should be wearing out in the field. It's just a bit of fun, and there's something a little bit different.
The whole thing about this,
guys brought to us.
Yeah, this whole thing. I mean, Random Trashy realistically was you reviewing kit for milsims, and you did the basic guide, but again, it only really just touched on parts. And this whole thing now, by having a team around you and a solid group of guys with experience in different areas, is all about rounding out the experience. You're not expecting people to apply for the SAS next week. What you're saying is you could learn better drills, and here's a perfect set of group of guys who can teach you that. Or you could learn comms, you know, and here's the perfect guy to help you there. Or, you know, even, oh, you want to go to a milsim, but you're not comfortable with your fitness. Well, here's a real basic thing you can do 10 minutes a day and work your way up and enjoy the experience a lot more.
That is exactly it. It is the stepping stone. At the end of the day, I can't push someone to go and do selection at Stirling. I can't. I can't say to someone, yeah, don't worry, 6 months' time you'll be ready for selection. Because it means you can't teach someone to be mentally strong. You can't teach someone to fight through discomfort. You can't fight through. You can't teach someone to fight through being thirsty or hungry, and then you've got Danny and Ben sitting in front of you eating a bacon and egg sandwich and things like that they do to mess with you. And
have you done a selection?
No, I actually haven't.
Would you try one?
It was put to me a couple of years back, I think.
And we're talking about the Stirling selection here, aren't we? We're not talking about real selection, because Stirling do once a year.
Yeah, Stirling do a selection once a year for you to be able to be sort of in the running for joining Sabre. It's something that all Sabre members have attempted. You have to as part and parcel. You know, when I first started playing with Sabre, it was definitely on the cards for me, and I was in a lot better shape. Also, it was going to be in the Valley, which I actually really enjoyed being in that environment. It just never really struck me as something that, being part of the Sabre team with Stirling, now Matt and Ben will probably be a bit pissed at me for saying this, it's a massive commitment.
Yeah.
It is wife number 2, girlfriend number 2, boyfriend number 2, whatever you have. It is every month, every event, you know, you're there, you're either working or you're playing. You do all the training, all the social events. It is signing to a brotherhood, which is incredible if your lifestyle will compensate that. Now, you know, not making any excuses, but during this period I got married, I've moved jobs, bought houses, you know, had a baby, all that sort of thing. It doesn't facilitate, and also we're not going to go into my job, but Graham, you know how much I travel. Do you know what I mean? It's not a commitment that I could ever give. I would love to do the selection just for my own
absolutely
self sort of accomplishment, but yeah, it's not saying it's done me. But again, you know, I could have pushed someone to do that. You could be the fittest person in the world, but you might get cold and a bit wet and uncomfortable, and then think, I ain't doing this. You know, you can't teach that. So what I want to give people is very, very basic things. You know, just being able to put your pack on and move in all your gear is enough. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to run in it. You don't have to run in a plate carrier. You don't have to be climbing mountains with all your kit on. You just be able to be comfortable and moving all your kit. Now that's 2 things. Yes, it is health and fitness. It's also having your kit set up right. And someone just saying to you, loosen that off, pack your bag this way, don't have anything on your back panel, use this type of sling, or when you're patrolling, take your sling off, don't have anything around your neck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Small things.
Stuff that we wouldn't know unless someone with experience was going to give us advice. And at the end of the day, take it or leave it. But that's someone who's been there, done it, and knows a lot more. And I think you could, if you're interested in milsims, it's a great place to learn. At the end of the day,
I want it to just be a hub, right?
Yeah.
So you can go to my new channel name, which is not finalised yet.
I was going to say, I was going to ask if it's been announced.
No, it's just, we've got some hoops to jump through first because of some of the alliances that we're making for the future. It's something I will bring to you, and I know that I feel bad about even my own audience that I haven't shed much light on this, but we're having to sort of jump through a few hoops here in regards of the new naming and how the branding's going to work and how it can work alongside other brands and with businesses and stuff. Like, the channel's really changed. I will speak about that in a minute. So yeah, the hub is going to be all milsim content. It will be fitness, it will be gear and reviews, it will be Gucci kit, it will be entry level kit, it will be stuff about comms and navigation, from setting your comms up as to how to use them, radio etiquette, which I'm terrible at, but Rich is really good. All those sorts of things we'll cover. We're going to get someone like James in, maybe even yourself as well, Graham, to teach some guys some sniping stuff, some cam and concealment. No, not expecting you to go and buy a leaf suit and be like super cammed up. Just some basics to sniping. We're going to bring it all to the channel. It's going to be a real hub of content. moving on from that, which, you know, pretty self-explanatory, we can get a million different people in to teach different techniques, and it gives me a ton of content to bring to the channel, and it means I'm not doing as much work myself. You know, the alliances that we're making with the channel are not anything that I've previously done. So it's not just phoning the company and being like, oh, I bought this, do you mind if I review it? Or, you know, if would you be happy to send me one and I'll review it and send it back to you? That's kind of what I've been doing for the last, you know, few years. These new relationships are very, very different. They're like, we're interested in, I can't really give it away, but we're interested in a certain procedure that happens in real life battlefields, it happens everywhere else, and what we want to do is take you through that procedure training, and then once you're trained in that procedure, then critique the kit. It's completely back to front, upside down. It's like they're going to absolutely teach us everything we need to know, then give us their kit and be like, does this work? You know, would people in your profession, hobby, whatever it may be, you know, this is going to be through the team, so that includes people like myself, who's a quite open desk jockey, to people that are currently serving and have served and that do PMC and all the other things that are in this little team of people. You know, there is businesses like that. There's also companies now that we're speaking to that sponsor athletes. This is not just like a company that's going to give us products. They will sponsor us potentially as an athlete or as a product user.
Yeah.
And it would be a proper athlete style sponsorship, so it would be travel, events, everything all covered under that. And we're not sure as to where the balance is and whether it's the right thing for us, but that's the type of things that we're now discussing. So when we talk about naming, branding, all that sort of stuff, it has to comply to be able to be used alongside all of these other assets. So being
Absolutely.
called like, you know, the evil devils or something like that, you know, like reapers or something, you have to
limit
be
yourself
quite
massively.
cautious as to how that's going to be perceived in all these different professions. So we're having to really look at this now, like analyse it as a business. You know, I've got friends of mine that work in that kind of industry that are saying to me, right, let's talk about the tone of voice, the way that you're going to approach this, the way that the channel is going to be perceived, how the content's perceived. Because when you start looking at brands that are this big, like global, you have to be cautious of that. And they're you know, marketing, MMO or whoever it be, you know, their marketing manager or his first kind of concern is going to be, well, what branding do they have? What's the representation of their business and of them as themselves? So yes, it's really has escalated. The other thing that's cool is that as part of this brand, they've helped us with YouTube. So YouTube approached me about a year ago, maybe less than that, yeah, maybe about 6-7 months ago, to be part of the creator community. And it was a small community portal back then of probably a few thousand users to communicate and help talk about YouTube and what can be done and feedback and that sort of thing. And being a bit of a nerd, I put quite a bit of information on there, and I've done a post about, you know, driving to, you know, 10,000 subscribers. What do I do? You know, is there anyone that can help? What's the advice? And it's a really popular thread that's still sort of going. And because of this brand, I said to them, look, I'm working with this brand. You know, they've got a really big YouTube following. You know, is there any advice? And they responded on this post, and then YouTube responded, and then magically, me and Richie got invited this coming Friday to the YouTube headquarters for their Christmas party.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And then on the same day, I also got my 10,000 users verification, and I got an invite to use the YouTube headquarters in London. So I was like, hold on a minute, this is all kind of come out of the blue from one, you know, really maybe by magic or within this space of a few days. So I went online, done all of the tutorials, done 3 exams, passed them all luckily, and then I got, you know, now full access to the YouTube facilities at King's Cross.
That's incredible. Congratulations, and that's
like,
wicked news.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it means like we're going to go up there. They've got full studios. They've got red 4K cameras. They've got just every piece of kit you can imagine. We can use the studios. I think I get 6 days a month worth of studio time, and I get 9 days worth of processing or something. But we also have access to like staff, so we can have someone help us with our lighting, with our sound, and all that sort of thing. So it's a really amazing opportunity for both of us to be able to work with some big brands and to go up there and use their facilities to really bring some very, very high-end content to the channel. So, you know, there's a hell of a lot going on, and I think people just think that I can grab some kit and sit in front of the camera and all that sort of thing. Like me and Richie at the moment are probably on this. I really don't know, but maybe 2 or 3 hours every day.
So, go on, in the last minute or so, when are you looking to get this out? When are we going to see the first, rebrand video together? Have we got any kind of timescales? Because obviously you've just done the phone case review, or you've just released it. I don't know how long you have.
The Juggernaut case. There is still a backlog of random trashy based videos that I need to get through and release those. There is some stuff that's in the sign-off process. So my Who's Our Rig video that loads of people have been asking me about was actually sent over on Friday for approval. It's been approved, but now that there's some changes to the kind of contract between us, it's probably going to have to be reshot, which is a bit of a nightmare because it's one of them things, I'm going to have to change some of the wording and the way that the relationship's described and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to be really honest with people about how that's working, what I'm getting, what I'm not getting. Am I just saying it for the sake of it? Is it coming out of my own pocket? Because that's what people really want to know. So that video is going to change. I'm hoping that it's going to be New Year. That's really what we're looking at now. So
it's starting 2018 with a new channel.
Yeah, I'm hoping like New Year, people are going to log on to Facebook, they're going to go onto YouTube, and all the branding will have changed, and we will have some content there, fresh, new look, New Year, and then driving on to bigger things. This isn't about making money from YouTube. This isn't about having 1 million subscribers. It's not about doing YouTube as a career. That's not what I want to do. What I really want to do is people to respond to my content and say, this video helped me because of so-and-so. I now feel more comfortable going to an event because of this. That's what I've heard about the Milsim guys, and this is what I want from the new channel. People to come and say, do you know what, Richie's radio video really helped me out. I now completely understand the radio that I've had in my pocket for the last 2 years, and I've only used it on PMR channels. Or, the nav video was really good. Or, I'm doing videography and I'm videoing Airsoft, or I'm taking photos of Airsoft, and guys competition video was really good. Or fitness or nutrition, or whether it is survival skills out on the ground, or it's eating out on the ground and how often and when you should eat, and the type of food you should eat at different times, and how much water you should be consuming, and trying not to bloat and keeping hydrated and balancing all that. All of that I want to just the core of all this content, as you can probably tell, is to help people. That's really what I want to do. Is to benefit people's milsims, airsofts, all that sort of stuff.
And I'm absolutely looking forward to it, because obviously we started engaging from me watching your videos before my first 48-hour event. So for anyone who's already subscribed to the channel, and so that's youtube.com/random trashy, they can stay subscribed because it will rebrand, right? We're not starting with a clean channel here. So if you aren't already subscribed, definitely go to youtube.com/random trashy. If you're already subscribed, stay there, keep an eye out, and hopefully New Year's, we should see the rebrand.
Yeah, I'll fantastic news. Video beforehand. I'll try and drop something out to let people know what's happening, because I'm hoping that the URL name will change, but they'll stay subscribed, if that makes sense.
Yep.
It's something I need to speak to the guys at YouTube about. I know other channels have done it, but it's something I need to discuss. And then I also need to go through the legislation of the name change, and then how other brands can use that name. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through in this very short period of time, and obviously it's coming up towards Christmas, and people are like not as attentive to emails and all that sort of thing. So it will be coming. It's going to be a really cool branding change. I'm really looking forward to leading the way. Massive thank you to, I know we need to wrap up, to the guys, your team, and you yourself, Graham. You've been a massive supporter of mine. and the channel, ups, downs, being away from the channel, coming back, releasing content that's been controversial, and some of the comments and things that I've said. You guys have always stood by the content that I'm releasing, and for me that's massive. You are a massive hub for the airsoft community on all levels of the scale. So to have your support is really awesome, and I do genuinely appreciate it. So while I'm here, I think I need to do the right thing and say I mega appreciate the support that the Airsoft Nation's given me. It's really great to have such a big powerhouse behind me, giving me support. So thank you.
Well, it's getting there. I won't say powerhouse just yet, but I'm sure we've got a few more UCASA videos to start knocking down the houses soon enough. But
just start taking shots at the airsoft magazines. It's all good.
We're gonna have to start finding other sites to play at. Well, that has come to the end of our time, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, Airsoft Nation hoodies are up for sale. It's airsoftnation.co.uk/hoodie. Remember to use the discount code LIVE to get 20% off. Tim, Rand Trashy, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
I'm really genuinely looking forward to the new year and seeing all the changes there. I was super excited when you first told me, and I can't wait to bring you back in the new year to talk all about it. No doubt I'll see you on the field in May. Hopefully before then. But I wish you and the rest of the team,
thank you,
Guy, Richie, and the +1.
There's going to be more, so
exactly.
The next time we talk, there will be more bodies here for you to have a chat with.
So, I was going to say, save a space. We'll just do it from your place.
Cool. Right, so I'm happy with that. Yeah. So look, that team's going to flex up and down as people deliver content. But next time we're chatting, there's definitely going to be a larger sofa here with some more bodies on it. So there's some cool stuff coming.
Cool. Well, guys, that's come to the end of it, and thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for next Monday as we are on the finale of season 2 of the live show. So next Monday is going to be the end of the year for us and the end of season 2. Our special guest for the week will be tuning in live all the way from Hong Kong. We have a Red Wolf Tim. So keep an eye out for next Monday, 9 till 10 p.m. as we have Red Wolf Tim. Other than that, thank you once again to Tim, and good luck in the new year with everything that's going on, and I will see you all next Monday. Cheers.
Peace. Thanks, guys.